city mayor candidates. The second forum will be starting at 7:55 and will be 3 city council candidates for 2 seats. Tonight, our moderator is Lillian Hossetter, a member of the League of Women Voters, Wayzata Plymouth area.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Lillian Hossetter, as mentioned, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, Wayzata Plymouth area. I will be your moderator this evening. And as mentioned, this forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters, Wayzata Plymouth area, and on behalf of all of us, I welcome you. The purpose of this evening's forum is to provide the opportunity to hear candidates discuss face-to-face the issues that are important to you. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters, and the sponsorship of this debate is not an endorsement of any candidate. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any candidate or political parties. All viable candidates have been invited. The rules for this evening forum are as follows. Each candidate will be allowed an opening statement with a maximum of 2 minutes to state his or her experience, platform, and objectives. A 15-second warning will be given before the total time has elapsed. You want to show the, yeah. And candidates, please finish your sentence quickly when you see the stop sign or you will be interrupted. Opening statements will be given in an alphabetical order and questions will be answered in rotating order. The answers will be confined to 1 minute. No reference of a personal nature will be tolerated. A person's public record may be examined, but not their character. These forums are made available to encourage the voting public to focus on the issues. We ask that there be no demonstrations, such as applause or booing, of support or opposition to the candidates or their positions, and that all candidates be allowed their full time to get their point across. We will thank the candidates with applause at the end of the evening. And now to the forum itself. The first one will be for the Corcoran Mayor candidates. And the ones available are Mr. John Dahl and then Mr. Ron Thomas. We will begin today by calling Mr. John Dahl to give his opening statement.
Are we live? Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm sure you got here in your boats with all the rain you've been. But I appreciate the League of Women Voters putting on this event again this year. And it's a great opportunity for you guys to get to know us a little bit better and what our views are for the city of Corcoran. So thanks for coming out.
I too want to thank the League of Women Voters and also our staff, city staff, for hosting this event and all you folks for coming out. My name is Ron Thomas, as you all know, basically the sign right here. I grew up in Plymouth and attended Wayzata High School. Following 4 years in the Air Force, I attended the University of Minnesota Institute of Technology. My wife June and I have been residents of Corcoran since 1991, where we've raised our 3 children and we're currently continuing to raise a variety of farm animals. Over the last 40 years, I've been employed as a design engineer and president of various public and private companies. I'm currently chairman of the board of a small business in Plymouth, and I serve on the finance committee for St. Thomas the Apostle Church here in Corcoran. I've been on the Corcoran City Council for 16 of the last 18 years, and for the last 2 years I've been mayor. I'm running for re-election because I believe my business experience and background I bring to the council qualify me to contribute to the successful implementation of our comprehensive plan and to deal with a lot of the various issues that face our city, transportation issues and future infrastructure needs. I hope you'll agree with me that you'll vote for me on November 6th. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And now for the first question, we will start with Mr. Ron Thomas. And it is, what passions for Corcoran has driven you to run for mayor?
What passion has driven me to run for mayor? Well, my passion is really to see Corcoran grow and to be following its comprehensive plan and develop the way the citizens of Corcoran wanted to. Some of my real passions underlying that are to develop a core downtown area for Corcoran. And the reason that I'm so passionate about that is that I believe it'll help build a community of Corcoran. Corcoran's kind of a disparate community. We have 5 school districts. We're spread out over 36 square miles. And it's hard to get a sense of community in Corcoran, although there's strong community beliefs and participation. And I think a downtown area will accomplish that. In order to do that, you can't do that in a vacuum, so there's a lot that has to be done to support that.
Okay, and now Mr. John Dahl.
Well, I never really had any political aspirations until I was involved with a project that involved my property and several other properties. And then I got involved, and I came to find out that in our city, in my opinion, and several others' opinion, that the majority of the people, the direction that they want to go really isn't important. And that is my passion, is to put the power of government back into the hands of the people, because that's where it belongs anyway. And if I'm elected as your mayor, you will be the boss. I would have 5,500 people as my employer. And so that's my passion, is to put the power back into the hands of the people of Corcoran, because it's not there right now.
Okay, thank you. And now for the next question, we will have you, Mr. John Dahl. And it is, what areas does the city do well, and what kind of change does Corcoran deserve?
Well, just like what I finished talking about is, with the specific projects that come up, we need to communicate better as a city to the people. We need to have more of an interactive council meeting, and we need to pay closer attention to the budget. Right now, we are looking at, with the project that is coming up, they want to put $1 million into renovating our city hall. And so if you look at it, we were in debt $4 million 2 years ago, and if that project goes through, we will have increased our debt $1 million every year for the past 2 years. So again, it needs to go back into the hands of the people.
Okay, thank you. And go ahead, Mr. Ron Thomas.
Well, I think there's no dramatic change that are needed for Corcoran. We have a comprehensive plan. I'll keep getting back to that because it really reflects the opinions that has been put together over the last 20 plus years by citizens' participation in the plan. As far as our city budget goes, we have a very balanced city budget. In the last 2 years, we've had a reduction in the tax rate for the citizens of Corcoran. The city hall remodel, I think, is dramatically needed. We keep adding staff, and they literally don't have room to sit in there. They're trading office space as they do things, and I think the remodel that we have suggested is very efficiently done. I think as far as citizens' involvement, we have a very definite involvement process for the citizens at council meetings that they can follow, and we open that up to a lot of discussion.
Okay, thank you. And now for the next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Ron Thomas. And it is, what experience do you have in management of personnel and budgets?
Okay, my experience, as I mentioned in my opening statement, is for the last 40 plus years, I won't say many plus, I've been running businesses. I've been president and CEO of several private and publicly held traded corporations. I started a company back in the 80s and late 70s and took it public in the early 80s. So I've got a lot of experience there dealing with Wall Street and with the financial communities. I've done lots of rounds of financing, and I've certainly balanced a lot of budgets for businesses, so I have a vast experience there. I've had upwards of 80 people working for me under my direction, and I put good organizations together.
Okay, great. And then you, Mr. John Dahl.
Well, I was in the hospitality industry for 28 years and served as operations manager, general manager, director of engineering. I've been in charge of building $50+ million hotels. Had to deal with owners, had to deal with investors, developers, vendors, general contractors. I mean, it's multi-million-dollar budgets every single year when you're talking about the hotel industry. And you have to know your personnel, you have to know your employees, you have to know your customers, and deal with all those levels on a daily basis. So that alone, I think, qualifies me, but as well my customer service and dealing with the people. Because again, you guys are the boss, and it's not monopoly money, it's your money.
Okay, great. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. John Dahl. And it is, what is your stand on paving collector roads? And overall, how will you fund or intend to fund any road improvements?
Sure. This is an easy one. Collector roads, we just went through one on Willow Larkin Road, and again, you're going to hear this quite often tonight, but the people involved in the paving of a specific collector road, the power of that has to be with the people that are going to be affected. So if you live on that gravel road, and for example, what happened with Willow Larkin, we had 70% of the people that came forward and said, we don't want it. We don't want this for a number of reasons. They filled out affidavits, and yet we did win that because we had 3 of the 5 people that voted with us, the majority, but 2 of them didn't. They voted against the majority, and they're up for re-election again this year.
Okay, and now for you, Mr. Ron.
Well, my stand on paving of collector roads is clear. I've been on this, taken this position for over the last 20 years. We've had a program in place which has been accumulating money to pave collector roads. Our collector roads in Corcoran are way over the traffic counts that demand that they be paved. Willow Larkin is an example. The recommendation is to pave roads when you get over 200 trips a day. Willow Larkin's traffic count is 1,400 trips a day. That's 7 times the recommendation. Our Public Works Department cannot keep those roads up to snuff in order to make them safe and reasonable to drive on. And they're just not sustainable at that rate. As far as having people come up not wanting the road paved in front of their house, it was not anywhere near 70% in the neighborhood. It was a very vocal group of people for sure, but it wasn't 70%.
Okay, thank you. And for the next question, we will start with you, Mr. Ron Thomas. And it is, what are your ideas about creating or bringing more jobs to Corcoran?
My ideas for bringing more jobs to Corcoran is we need to get rooftops in Corcoran in order to get commercial base into Corcoran. We're not going to get retail and businesses to come into Corcoran until we have the commercial areas. We've expanded, our last comprehensive plan update has expanded the commercial area in the downtown area, which is west of the existing commercial base. And that is aimed at attracting businesses to Corcoran, to get jobs in Corcoran so we aren't a bedroom community. We need to be proactive, and we're trying to be proactive with recruiting businesses here. But it has to start with the infrastructure first, and we've just gotten the infrastructure into Corcoran so we can start expanding that and start moving on that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. John Dahl.
Well, it was my pleasure to meet several of the business owners in the city of Corcoran, and the majority of them had some unbelievable stories about how they've been treated by the city of Corcoran. And from what I have heard, and I believe to be true, they have no reason to lie, is the way some of them have been treated is just unbelievable. I mean, we have a company here that employs 30 employees, and they've been just short of being told, get out. And that's not acceptable. That company has been here for a very, very, very long time, and the way they've been treated is absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, I do have all the affidavits if you want to see them and compare the numbers. It is 70%.
Okay, and for the next question, we'll start with you, Mr. John Dahl, and it is, what is your plan for city parks?
Well, I don't really have a plan, to be honest with you. I think that one of the things that the city is notorious for is putting the cart before the horse. And again, we could build a fantastic city park, right? But again, it costs money. And who pays the bill? You guys pay the bill. Now, there was a plan that my opponent was for in the beginning and then changed his mind to build a park all the way on the entire west side of our city in the middle of nowhere. We were fortunate enough where Rockford got into a little bit of trouble financially, and we were able to purchase that land that we wanted to purchase for a very long time. I do not agree, however, with us taking out a loan. We had $650,000 in our parks and trails, and we only used $250,000 of it. We had to take a loan out, ladies and gentlemen, and again, now we're paying for that.
Okay, Mr. Ron Thomas.
Well, regarding my being in favor of purchasing the parkland on the west end of the city, that's absolutely not true. I've been opposed to that from the beginning. I've never, ever supported it. I didn't have to change my mind to do that, so appreciate not misstating the facts. My position on parks is that we need to get the parks in place now, as quickly as we can. You don't wait until the property values have gone up dramatically and all the property is used up for parks. We purchased the Rockford School District property. That was due to my and Mr. Martin's, our city administrator's meeting with the Rockford School folks and paving the way for that. So I'm strongly in favor of getting the parks in there now. As far as who pays for them, we bonded for those parks, and the future residents of Corcoran will pay for those parks and repay those bonds over the next 20 years.
Okay, and then the next question, we'll start with you, Ron Thomas. And it is, how do you keep current on city actions?
Well, it's fairly easy for me to keep current on city actions because I'm mayor, so I'm here and involved in things. I have to review all the council packets and the parks and trails and the planning commission packets, so I'm very much in that. But I come in, I'm in City Hall every Tuesday, and I meet with our city administrator for at least an hour, or as long as it takes. I come in and I'm involved with developers who come in when they bring their projects in. And any problems that come up, I make myself available to deal with them. So I'm very, very involved with that. It's just fortunate for me to be able to do that.
Okay, and then Mr. John Dahl.
Well, like I said earlier, the paper project really kind of drew me into the whole city council thing. And also, I did come to the meetings, regularly in the beginning. But then when I found out that it was hardly interactive after you get your first little initial, time, then it's pretty much you need to keep quiet. And then if you go to other cities, you go to Plymouth or Delano, and you watch how those city council meetings are run, it's completely different than what we run. I mean, you can have people get up and talk about topics and not have it crazy. It's all about who's running the show. So there's a lot of work to do in our city council meetings, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, and then for the next question, we will start with you, Mr. John Dahl, and it is, I'd like to see more civility in politics. How would you promote that goal?
By slapping the hands of the people, of my supporters, when they try to put signs where they're not supposed to be. We've had a little bit of a sign war here in Corcoran. I think it's all about just being a Corcoran citizen, which is friendly, kind, helping your neighbor. There's all the political things that go on. I like the old style of my mother and father. If you remember back in the old days, if you asked someone about their political who they were voting for, it was actually considered quite rude. And in this day and age, it's gone over the top. And I just think we need to treat each other with respect. We are neighbors in the long run, right? That doesn't stop. So we need to treat each other as neighbors.
Okay, Mr. Von Thomas?
Could you repeat the first part of that question? I wasn't sure.
Yes, of course. I'd like to see more civility in politics. How would you promote that goal?
Well, I think it's by listening to people and trying to understand what their viewpoint is. I think if we prejudge where people are coming from, I think it tends to escalate things to be negative. And I think civility, as far as in Corcoran, I think it's a fairly civil environment. I don't think there's a lot of bickering and back and forth. People will always complain about how the process is run, but I think it's a good balance between being able to control meetings and being able to have people participate. And they're always welcome to participate at various levels throughout the city. So I don't think it's a big problem in Corcoran, but I think it can always be improved, certainly.
And the next question is for you, Mr. Ron Thomas, and it is, do you see a need to limit the trend of new residential developments in order to distinguish Corcoran from other outlying suburbs?
The short answer is no. I think it has to be controlled, but it is controlled, again, by our comprehensive plan. That's what we have a comprehensive plan for. Our comp plan is laid out and it's an amalgamation of input from all the citizens in Corcoran over a long period of time. And the result is that we will have about 1/3 of Corcoran will be developed with housing and businesses, and 2/3 of Corcoran will be kept rural. And this is a balance that the Corcoran residents, past Corcoran residents, have chosen to implement, and that's what we're implementing right now.
Okay, and go ahead, Mr. John Dahl.
Well, I have to disagree with that. In the campaigning that I've done 2 years ago and again this year, I have met maybe 3 individuals of all the people that I've talked to that are actually okay, just okay with the development that's going on here on the east side. The majority of the people, everybody else that I talk to, is excited about living in Corcoran if it stays Corcoran. There's a reason that we live here. It's because it's small town, it's friendly, it's warm, we can trust our neighbors, it's quiet, it's farming, it's horse ranches, it's hobby farms. That's why the majority of people live here. They don't live here because it's going to be Maple Grove. Ladies and gentlemen, when we lose that small town feeling, when that's gone, when we're overrun with development, we can never get it back. It's gone forever.
Okay, and then let's go ahead and we'll start the next one with you, Mr. John Dahl. And it is, the city newsletter says our police department is planning on hiring a detective. Do you think we need a new detective position? And if so, should we promote from within or hire externally?
Well, I'm going to start with that question going backwards and then moving forwards. I am a huge, in the hotel industry, there was nobody that, was more vocal and did more to promote from within. I'm a true believer in that. And what that does for you as an employer and as a company, and the city of Corcoran is basically a company, it's a business, is it creates this atmosphere of, you know what, I'm not just a number. You know, these people believe in the people that work, they try to help them and try to move forward with that, so I'm a huge, huge promoter of promoting within. Do I think we need a detective? You know, what are we, we have the third lowest crime rate, I mean, in entire Minnesota. So I don't know if we do need one or not. I'd have to do a little more research, to be honest with you. But from what I understand, we are, our crime rate is very low, so at this point I'd say no.
And Mr. Ron Thomas?
I guess the answer, yes, I do believe we need a new detective. We formed a group in Corcoran to look into our needs for protection. And 2 of the things that really became strong were that we do have a drug problem in Corcoran. There definitely is a drug problem in Corcoran. We're not unique. It's true of other cities as well. And there also is a crime problem. One of the problems with crime in Hennepin County is if we don't have a detective, we turn these cases over to Hennepin County, and if it's not a murder or a double homicide or a major thing, they just don't have time for it. So if we want to have the crimes prosecuted in courtroom, we need to have somebody who can follow up on them. And that's true of drugs and of other crimes.
Okay, and then the next question, we will start with you, Mr. Ron Thomas, and it is, how will you balance taxes and spending with growth?
Well, the balance of taxes with growth is and spending is to develop a tax base. We don't have an income problem in court or a spending problem in court. We have an income problem, and the income that we need is from commercial and retail businesses. That's where we can generate residential businesses. Residential's taxes bring in about $1 for every dollar we spend on them. Industrial commercial range at about $1.20 or $1.30. So we need to develop the business base in corporate, and that's where we'll get it. In the meantime, I think we're doing a very good job of balancing the growth and growth expenditures with our incomes. And that's justified by our tax rate has gone down in the last 2 years.
Okay, and Mr. John Doe?
Well, we have a very small portion of Corcoran which has a very high income. They're very wealthy. And then we have a very large portion of Corcoran that could be considered middle class, but then we also have a good portion of its people that are kind of on the lower income level. And I've talked with some of these people, and the taxes that are going through the roof, property taxes that are going through the roof, is hard for them to make ends meet. And there has to be an answer for that. And how do you deal with that? Well, this kind of goes back to how are we doing our spending? This goes back to being a business again, which is what the city is. You have to look at your expenses, you have to look at what your revenue is, and then you need to balance it. And I don't think we've done a good job, because if we were, your property taxes won't be going up. And they're high. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that.
Okay. And then for you, Mr. John Dahl, what do you see as the biggest priorities Corcoran faces in the next 5 years?
The people that are running the show. For many, many years, there's been a small handful of individuals in this city that has pretty much dictated what's going to go on. And people can say, oh, the people, you guys are the ones that made the decision. No. All you got to do is go to a city council meeting and you'll see that that's not true. And if 70% of the people come before the council and say that they want something done, and 2 of them vote against it, and we barely get that passed, something's wrong. Something is wrong. It needs to change. And the only place to change that is at the polls. It's the only way you can change it. Otherwise, we're going to continue to go down this road where these small handful of individuals are controlling everything that goes on. And some people are scared of them. Literally scared. I've talked to them.
Okay, Mr. Ron Thomas?
Well, I'd like to meet that small group of people that are running the city, because I sure don't know them myself. I think there's a broad base of citizens that are running the city, and I think they're well represented. We're elected, the council is elected to make decisions. So certainly to make a decision, we have to make decisions for the overall good of the city, not for individuals. And sometimes that comes down to not even for individual neighborhoods. Those are hard decisions to make, but we're elected to do that. That's called representative government. That's why we have long-term planning. We don't look at what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't look what happened just yesterday. We look over the last several years, and we look what's needed for the next 30 years, and we make our decisions based on that. It's really easy to demagogue those and make it look like we're being mean and brutal and thoughtless, but that's not the case. None of us up there on the council want to make a decision that people don't like. Sometimes we have to, because it's the right thing to do.
Okay. And then for the next question, we'll start with you, Ms. Ron Thomas, and it is, what improvements or remodels does the City Hall need and why?
Well, the improvements, the remodel, are just a lot of it is just reallocation of space. One of the things we'll be doing on the proposed remodel is we'll move the council chambers into this room and make better use of this. We'll convert the existing council chambers into office space, for cubicles. We'll shrink down some of the offices that are in there, make them into multiple ones. We'll knock some walls down and put cubicles in there, just make more efficient use of the space. It sounds like a lot of dollars to do this remodel, but in today's world, it just takes a lot of dollars to do what would be considered a fairly modest project. And I believe this is a fairly modest project with a long-term return on investment. It'll also be, the things that we're doing will be able to be used in the future in 20 years or so. If we put up another building, these things will be usable for the future use.
Okay, and for you, Mr. Dundee?
Well, I hope you come to a city council meeting because there's almost always plenty of chairs. Plenty of chairs to sit in. There's lots of vacancies in the city council meetings. And one of the reasons is because it's not interactive. You can go home and you can watch it on the computer, and same results will happen. I mean, you're basically viewing 5 individuals talking amongst themselves. That's pretty much what it is. Anyway, $1 million to renovate our city hall. Again, that's not my money, that's your money, right? It's not monopoly money, it's your money that you get up every single morning, you go to work, you come home, and you work hard so that we can put $1 million into this so that you can have your city council meetings in here. Let me tell you something, it's almost always empty in there, so what do we need to make it bigger for? Makes no sense.
Okay, and then for the next question, and we'll start with you, Mr. John Dahl, and it is, do you have a campaign slogan, and if yes, why?
Yeah, I don't know if I can call it a slogan, I'm not a politician, but my basis for being up here is to put the power of the city of Corcoran back into the hands of the people, back into the hands of the people who elect the 5 council members to do what you say. If you elect people on the council to do what they think or what they want or their vision without consideration of the majority of the people in Corcoran, what is that? What is that? That comes close to some kind of a roundabout dictatorship where these individuals are just doing whatever they want. And it's time to put a stop to that. The people need to be put in charge, put the power of government back into the hands of the people.
Okay, Mr. Ron Thomas?
I don't have a campaign slogan, but I guess what I'm running on is the fact that I think we have a stable government, we have a strong financial position, our cash reserves are very strong. I think we're very well run city. Our staff, thanks to Mr. Mertens, is a phenomenal staff. And I'm not for more of the same. I think there's a lot of changes coming up, but I think they have to be managed and they have to be run by people who are involved and who understand what the issues are.
Okay, and then the next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Ron Thomas. It is, what do you believe